episode of those smack-talking guys. Full of opinions on games, music, culture, and current events. These guys cover it all while humiliating each other. This is Generation Flip. Don't forget, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. And now, wrapping it up, here's your hosts.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Generation Flip Podcast. We really appreciate all the subscribers. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Hit that like button and drop a comment or two. We got a very interesting guest today, but first, my boy from San Jose, Mr. Big Brown.
I'll tell you what, I'm excited. We got a guy here, Wajid Hassan. This gentleman grew up in Pakistan, went to England, resides in the United States, field serviceman, engineer, stand-up comedian, actor for 20 years. This gentleman does it all, man. These are the people.
He's done a lot. He's done a lot of acting though, from the '90s and up.
Oh
man.
yeah,
he's done a hell of a lot of acting. 20
years of acting, from commercials to movies to TV shows. You name it, he's done it. I love diversity. I love it. I love how people can do many things, and he's got a #1 bestseller in Amazon book that he put out that he's going to really tell us a lot about. So we're going to kind of go through a little of everything about this guy. I've seen him on TV shows. I've seen him do many things on commercials. And it's funny because, you see these things when you're younger. I remember that guy. Yeah. I remember him from this show, and I remember that. And, interesting. This gentleman even climbed Kilimanjaro. This guy's climbed mountains. 5 days to get to the top of these damn things, and a day and a half to get down, he told us. It just blows me away, the diversity that this young man brings to us.
This is going to be a very intellectual discussion, what he's bringing out to the table. And, let's just bring him out. What's up, my boy, Wajid? How's it going, brother?
Hey.
No, don't get quiet on us, man.
Hey, can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Clear.
Good to be on your show.
Good, man.
Yeah, thanks for the intro. I'll send you guys $20 later.
Oh man.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, other than what we have discussed in your bio. Man, I'm going to tell you first, thank you really coming out. I found a lot of your stuff on YouTube, and I remember watching you on some of the sitcoms back in the early 90s and mid 90s. It was awesome. And when I first saw it after all these years, I was like, oh yeah, I do remember this guy.
Lady and her friend.
Thank you.
How can I help you this fine afternoon?
Well,
Not you.
Well, I'm looking for an employee, Stanley Ogilvy.
What has he done now? I assure you his punishment will be swift.
Lighten up. I'm just looking for him.
He's busy right now, but I, Patel, owner and eligible bachelor, I'm at your service.
Yeah, let's go with that.
I wish we wouldn't do that. It's bad for business.
Shoot me a 20-ounce squid model, man.
Yeah, 20 ounce. You have hot day tonight, my friend.
Oh, hey, squid model helps me get my swerve on, baby.
Oh, yeah, squid martu. Very good for the bang, if you know what I mean. You pervert! You should be ashamed of yourself. Taking advantage of her sexual innocence, only to one day toss her aside.
Okay, now who am I, Shaq? Do I look like I could toss her anywhere?
Save it, infidel! You're fired! Fine. Hey, little bald man, the machine is not for your silliness.
Hey, Haji.
If your bare bottom touches the glass, you're out of here, mister. And the other side is just as worse.
All right, 500 copies and send them to this address, all right?
And no gouging. I know about you people.
Right, and no mistakes, all right? This is very, very important.
Yeah.
All
No
right?
mistake,
All
no
right?
mistake.
Get that through your towel. No mistakes.
Trust me, it won't be mistake.
All right, how many want to see what the Tonight Show looks like in India? All right. Here's what the Tonight Show looks like in India.
And now the host of the Tonight Show, Sanjay Leto.
Welcome to the Tonight Show. Boy, it was hot here today in New Delhi.
Oh, how hot was it, Sanjay?
Oh, it was hotter than an earthenware dish full of chicken vindaloo. And the big news now, gasoline is so expensive. Lepers in Calcutta are being charged an arm and a leg.
Oh, Sanjay, man, that was cold, man. Really cold.
Thank you for coming on the show, and let's just jump right into it, man. Tell us, how did you start it?
Well, yeah, it's great to be on your show. I was born in Pakistan. My parents moved to England when I was 3 years old, and I lived in the north of England, near Manchester, till the age of 10. And then my parents moved to London, and there I had my formal education, went to high school, and then later on in life got into a technical background as a field service engineer in southern England for a large corporation, and then moved to LA permanently in 1987. Worked for TRW at their computer maintenance division over in Santa Fe Springs. Then I ended up working for myself, and I had a little computer repair shop in Hollywood on Sunset near Highland, and I was content to just do computer repair for customers and whatever. And then in 1997, my own spiritual yogi master passed away, and I was I got into like a real funk, depression. And then my wife at the time, she said, well, when you're in high school, your teacher, you got in front of the school and you made people laugh, and your teacher said you should get into acting and comedy. Why don't you do a little comedy? So I took some stand-up lessons, found out that I was still funny, and started hitting the open mics at the Laugh Factory, sticking a turban on my head and putting on an Indian accent, which people kind of liked, even though I was raised in England. And then, I was pretty content with that. But this lady walked into my store, and I fixed her Apple computer, and then she kept looking at me, staring at me. So I said to her, well, what do you keep staring at me for? She said, I'm a casting director. I said, so? I didn't know what a casting director was. And she said, well, let's see if we can get you an agent. So she got me a commercial agent.
Incredible. He's split into tons of little Luigis, making the shape of a hammer to battle enemies.
But now they're the shape of a ball?
What if I do this? Oh, bravo. Dr. Anderson, by pulling his mustache in the real world, it assisted Mario in the dream world.
And I started booking commercials, and then from there I got a theatrical agent. So I guess I was kind of discovered in Hollywood. And at that time, my little computer store was going under because, companies like Best Buy, Circuit City, they were, gobbling up the little computer stores. So I left that and started doing acting, as a I won't say a full-time actor, because, everybody knows an actor always has to have menial jobs but be available for auditions. And so I worked as a union actor for 20 years, and I built up a fairly decent resume. And of course, only a minor handful make it big in Hollywood.
Right.
but at the same time, I would consider myself as probably one of the top 5% that was actually working regularly. And so did a bunch of commercials, some voiceovers, um, some roles in movies and TV. And so, the life of an actor, you have to deal with a lot of rejection, a lot of auditions, menial jobs like, from a field engineer, I was working as, valet guy, a cab driver, limo driver, security guard, all those things that you have to do in order to be available for auditions. So I did that up to 2018, and in 2020 of August, I published my book. I kind of kept, after meeting my yogi master at the age of 16, I kind of kept my, metaphysical and spiritual beliefs in the background. I didn't really promote them because, you have to earn a living. And I had no desire to be some kind of like, guru or whatever. But I felt at the time, I mean, what I'm doing now is a labor of love. I felt that I have 40 years of doing this in the background. And I thought it's time now, with the way the world is going, that certain truths that my yogi master revealed need to be told to the world. And the world needs to wake up, because these are pretty precarious times right now. Will you agree?
Well, let me ask you this question, because a lot of people are going to ask, what's a yogi master? A yogi master. I don't, explain to us, what is a yogi master?
Well, a yogi master is probably considered in India as a guru, or a person who's spent many years in yoga training and reached high states of consciousness. And it's funny because most people in the West, they go to India looking for a master, a spiritual master or a yogi master, so that they can avail themselves of the teachings. Now, in my situation, it was very different, because here's a guy from the East who's in the West and following an Englishman, who wears a suit. And my yogi master, Dr. George King, he was very psychic in his early years. He got into healing, and then during the Second World War, he was a section leader for the London Fire Brigade. When the Nazis were dropping bombs, on England, and he was part of search and rescue. And it really affected him when he was picking up pieces of little children, like, why all this suffering? What's going on with this world? So after the war, he got heavy into yoga exercises, not just hatha yoga, not just physical yoga, but yoga breathing, Sanskrit mantra chanting, to the point where he reached a very high stage of consciousness. The Hindus and Buddhists, they talk about nirvana or cosmic consciousness. And he did yoga practice for like 8 to 10 hours a day for 10 years.
Wow.
On top of a regular job that he had at that time as a London cab driver. And then after 10 years of this intense practice, he reached these high states of meditation, and was then contacted by higher beings from different dimensions in this solar system, beings that we believe man these spacecraft, or people what call UFOs. And they channeled a lot of information through him. And a yogi master is somebody who has tremendous powers of healing. They can project from their physical body. They call it conscious astral projection, and they could read your mind. So he was a very, very special individual. And, I met him at 16, and I've been following him ever since.
Wow. That's interesting. Because I'll tell you, a lot of people don't know that stuff, and it's interesting to hear that, because, you hear about people like that. What's the other word that they call them? God dang it. Like Nostradamus. What do they call those guys? Not a prophecy, but My
psychic
gosh,
prophet, psychic
I
prophet.
don't know what they call them.
Seers,
Yeah,
prophets.
they're like a prophet, right? He can read the future and help and guide, and you look into some of that stuff like Nostradamus.
Yeah.
He called a lot of stuff, right? He did. He called a lot of stuff back in the days. So I would imagine this gentleman that was your mentor was doing the same thing. You know,
If you look at Nostradamus, he was unrecognized in his age, and in fact he had to, a lot of his prophecies he had to code, and because at that time, for what he was saying, he would have been considered a heretic and put to death, and then hundreds of years later he's looked upon as a great prophet or a seer. And I think the same with my yogi master when he came out in the 50s and 60s and said that he was in contact with space intelligences. They laughed at him. They thought he was a kook. And now people are not laughing because science has expanded to the point where people now recognize, quantum physics is now saying there are such things as parallel universes, different dimensions. And he was mentioning that in the 50s. People didn't understand. People understand now. And the concept of life on other planets, again, he was laughed at. People are not laughing anymore.
No.
Because they know how big, even this galaxy is. And it's an insult to your intelligence today if somebody tells you in the TV that there's no life out there. They're just pretty much lying to you.
Yeah. I'm a believer. I've been a believer. I knew that, I understand there's a maker, but I also understand if there's a maker, there's other makers, right? It's just not something that it's an interesting topic, and I love it because you're gonna find people that think that we're crazy, and you're gonna find people that go, dude, I believe that. I understand that that's out there because there's, like you said, science is proving that it exists. And they're pulling out records now. The government has to release these records now and I love going on YouTube and watching these things. I love going on YouTube and because now that they have to release that information, you get to hear, you get to read, you get to hear what was being projected that was hidden, put in the back burner where we couldn't see it. And I'll tell you what, man, it's exciting. We live in a crazy time, period. Right? There's so many negative things going on in the world, but then there's also some things that we can't close the blind eye to, like global warming, UFOs. The list just goes on and on and on. But I thank you for writing this book because I want to buy it and read it. And some of the factual stuff that you say that's out there, man, I want to hear it. I can't wait. I'm excited for you to bring it out to us today.
So you guys know out there, you could find you at
go ahead.
WajidAuthor.com is your official website I'm looking at. So if you guys want more description detail, what we're discussing today, take a look at the website that he's got. We'll post it up in the description. But this is interesting stuff. I want to ask you really quick, Wajid, you were explaining earlier about this agent coming to you and then trying to get you into comedy, stuff like that. So how do you jump from comedy? Comedy is not your first kind of partake. It's more of your interest in the others, I would say, right?
Yeah, like I say, I come from a diversified background, and the metaphysics and the yoga and the UFOs and the New Age concepts. Like I say, it was just a personal part of myself that I didn't really openly reveal. And I think the reason Flip and Big Brown that I wrote the book was to give a sense of hope and inspiration, because let's face it, guys, I mean, we're living in a world that's going into regression. I mean, we got political systems not only in this country but around the world that are
Right.
archaic. We got the right fighting the left. We got hatred between religions. Got hatred between races. We got an economic system that favors the rich billionaires, and the rest are kind of in kind of a slavery. Um, we've got climate change, we got pollution, so there's a lot of stuff that we got a military empire that's creating endless wars and suffering. I mean, right now they're trying to start a war between the Ukraine and Russia, so these corporations can profit from buying weapons. I mean, let's face it, the beings that contacted my master, they regard the human race as a very barbaric, primitive, warlike race, because that's what we are. If you look at our history, that's all we've
Yep.
done is just maim and murder and kill each other over greed and jealousy. And so, what I'm offering is a ray of light, an inspiration, hope that even though things seem to be pretty bad right now, there is going to be a better future in the centuries to come. There is going to be a new world where we're not going to have all this crap. And so it's up to us to change, not religiously, but in a spirit, to start following the spiritual laws and go back to things like thou shalt not kill, love thy neighbor,
Yeah.
and just start being kind to each other. And that's the call of action. Now, coming back to my uh, Yogi Master Dr. George King. In my book, he revealed himself in many ways, and I'm not here to preach any of my beliefs. I say to your listeners, keep an open mind and do your own research. Don't take my
Right.
word for it. Go to my website, check out my master's organization, and make your own decision. Use your own intuition, the way I did it. So I'm not here co- to like prove anything to anybody. But what was really interesting is that when he was contacted by these space intelligences in the 50s, that's when, right after the First and Second World War, where millions of people were murdered, we started exploding atom and hydrogen bombs again. And there was a big concern in this solar system that once again we're about to destroy ourselves. I mean, America exploded over 1,000 nuclear warheads, as did Russia exploded 1,000 nuclear warheads, as well as China and Britain and France. And the fallout was so tremendous that in reality, the scientists are even they baffled today that why are we are not dead, because that fallout should have killed all of us. So it was very interesting in the 50s that there was a tremendous amount of UFO activities in the skies, and I believe that these beings that contacted my master are not only advanced scientifically, millions of years ahead of us, but also spiritually. And they're very concerned about us as a human race. And I believe they absorbed a lot of that atomic radiation and saved all of us and gave us some breathing space. That's the kind of people that are watching over us right now. So don't believe this rubbish about UFOs coming in and taking over the world, or lizard people, or all these other conspiracies. These are just designed to distract from the reality that we have been watched by these higher beings for over 18 million years, and they have a tremendous love and concern for us. And that's the kind of message that I'm throwing out to your listeners today.
Interesting.
I'm,
You know, I don't mean to jump in, but I'll tell you, as a young man growing up, um, I remember my father would sit in the garage and listen to his AM radio about nothing about conversations kind of like we're having now. And as a kid growing up, I was like, man, I ain't got time for that. I don't care. That you know what happens? I only worry about what happens in my circle, and I never thought about that. And now that I'm older, I listen to it. So I'm wondering, are the kids today doing the same thing we did? And the only reason why I say that is because social media is among us. We didn't have social media before. And I think social media is among us. And I think it could be affecting are the new generation in a little bit different manner. Now, whether they choose to do it or not, um, it's reality. It's factual. It's happening, and that's the one thing that worries me because today's generations, um, all they do is play video games and look at their phone and Instagram and social media, and I don't think they really focus on what's really going on in the world. And those are the things that kind of worry me the most. I'm worried about this new generation coming in and them focusing on meta world, focusing on Facebook, the new virtual reality world that's going to be coming out, to where they don't have to function like a normal human being, interact. They can be something that or somebody that they wish they can be and not really focus on who they are. And I think that's going to be a key factor. I think we're evolving too fast. I think I think what's happening in the world, there's a lot of distraction. And it's
you know what, Brown? I
interesting.
gotta disagree with you on that. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
Really?
I kind of well the fact the only the part that you feel that we're moving too fast. I don't think we are. I think we're actually behind a lot of. Look at the Asians. We had the discussion when our buddy Heitman was on, and we had the discussion about the Asian country. You know how deep and far advanced they are compared to United States, and I think we're behind. I really think that we need to get ahead. I mean, I'm not I'm not deep into all that politics stuff, but like that's just the way I feel. I feel that we're
Yeah.
behind and that we need to get either caught up or get ahead of
I,
this
I, I,
technology.
I I feel the opposite. I feel the opposite. I think we're way too advanced, and I think what we're doing is we are. Um, I think we're 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 screwing ourselves. I listen to a lot of these guys talk. I listen to um, Elon Musk. I mean, his biggest thing is he's one of the things that really caught my attention about Elon Musk. He says, you know what? I'm not really worried about nuclear war. I'm more worried about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is going to do more damage than a nuclear bomb. And I think we should be focusing on that because it's getting out of control. And I believe it's getting out of control. Um, Wajid, what do you think?
I have to kind of agree with both what you guys said. I have to agree with you, Big Brown, that we have a generation that that doesn't want to deal with the reality. They've seen so much murder and mayhem, and they want to detach. And a lot of people are. That's why they go on social media and they go on games and
Right.
TikTok and whatever, because they don't want to deal with the reality. And at the same time, I have to agree with Flip that we have advanced tremendously technology, but listen to this, guys. Some of the best brains on our planet are focused on trying to create more, weaponry for destruction, and
Right.
there isn't this compassion aspect of science, because science in itself is a soulless wanderer if it's just technology, and what science needs to be encompass is a spiritual aspect towards science, and these beings are, like I say, millions of years scientifically advanced, but also very spiritual beings. So their technology they use is for benefit and spiritual upliftment of races. Our technology is designed to be completely selfish and murder and mayhem. So what we need to do is change that mind concept.
Hmm.
And I think also there's a lot of the younger generation, they're worried about the future. Um, the pollution and climate change. Climate change, actually, one thing that again the media is not talking about, which the indigenous tribes around the planet in Africa, and, North America, South America, Australia, those people have been talking for centuries that this planet herself is a living, breathing entity. She's a goddess. She breathes, she lives, she feels pain, and we've been raping
Right.
her resources for millions of
Right.
years. She, as a collective,
Oh yeah.
is now raising her vibrations, and so the ice caps melting and the ionosphere coming down. That's not all to do with pollution. it's her herself has been told to raise herself, her vibrations, and so that's occurring right now, and the world needs to understand that we do live on a living, breathing entity, and that we've been pretty much taken her for granted. And so this great change is occurring because she's raising her vibrations. And another aspect of this vibrational change is that if you study astrology, we're now from the Piscean age, we're now in the Aquarian age, and the Aquarian age is pushing mankind to get into universal cooperation, to start helping each other. So there's a shift. Despite what the younger generation are doing, or what we're doing, there is, I believe, a great change that's occurring. There is a spiritual awakening, and part of it is this realization that we're not just Americans or Russians or Chinese, but we are one race, and we've been molded over the centuries to think that we're different from each other. And so people are now realizing, especially now, the good aspects of the internet. It's brought the world closer together, and people can now relate to each other. I've had live podcasts in Australia and Europe, and we can reach out to each other. So the call for action today is unification, and not this crap of being proud of being born this religion or this race or this culture, because it's all designed to keep us, and the divide and conquer by fear is actually what's creating these conditions right now.
Yeah.
I
I agree.
I have a question. Well, regarding present time now with the coronavirus, the pandemic all around the world. I just heard over the news, in fact, today or last night, that they were trying to reverse it. The higher ups are trying to reverse it from pandemic to a epidemic situation around the world. So I don't, it's
endemic. Yeah, it's called an endemic.
Endemic.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
And the thing is that this coronavirus, I don't know if you, well, I used to watch a show called Montel Williams Show back in the days, in the 90s. And he had a
I remember
guest.
that. Yeah.
He had a guest on the show, Sylvia Brown, who appeared to be a psychic, whatnot. And I haven't read books on her, but every time she came on the show, I would be very intrigued about it, because she was mentioning, and I remember this on one of his shows, she mentioned something drastic like this was going to happen back then before she had passed. And I remember this, and I would try to do a little research and try to, pinpoint exactly what show it was, but I haven't got to that yet. But what I'm trying to say is, you're absolutely right. We need to start controlling. We're one race. We're one race in this little universe. All right, in this world, is what I'm saying. And we all need to come together, like my boy said, like butt cheeks over here, and do something. We got to take care of this world. We got to take care of this world. We got to take care of each other. It's not just, oh, he's Hispanic, he's black, he's Asian, white. We're one race in this damn world.
Our heritage is not the suffering that's around us. That is what we have actually created ourselves. And so that truth has to be, if your listeners research reincarnation, there's so many facts that support that. And that is one truth that will actually change the mind concept of people right now. Like this war between Russia and Ukraine it's ridiculous, because there is no such thing as Russia or Ukraine or America. I mean, these are things that we've created ourselves. These higher beings, they don't address us as different races or different religions. They, again, like Flip said, they address us as one race, the human race, and we're all, whether we like it or not. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that I'm connected to communists or terrorists. But whether we like it or not, we're still our brother's keeper, and we're responsible for everything that's happening around this world. We've created these conditions. So, like Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you want to be in this world. And so it's up to us to make that change, and it has to be on a spiritual, sending out spiritual light, sending out spiritual love, which hasn't been. Everything else has been tried except sending out spiritual energy. That's the only solution that's going to fix all the problems on this planet today.
So you guys tuning in, we have our guest Wajid Hassan. I'm sorry, Hassan. The struggle of the world sanity.
You know, I've always wondered about reincarnation, but you brought a lot of good points up about that, which kind of resonated with me. Was that, like you said, some of these kids come out and they're prodigies of piano playing or violinists, and you're like, you know what? How in the hell can this individual? And it does make sense. Maybe he was reincarnated.
No way.
You know, there's no way. I mean, I remember there was a time I traveled to Santa Barbara. I was going to go see, at the time, one of my little nephews play soccer. He plays soccer for Santa Barbara University, Santa Barbara. And anyways, we drive out to Santa Barbara, and then there's this hotel on the water. It's called the Baccarat. Top-notch, high-end hotel. All the hobnobs are there. We go and pull in there, and we're going to go and have a drink and wait because the soccer game doesn't start till like 5 at night. It was like 2:30. We pulled into the Baccarat, and we sit down, and we're having drinks in the bar, and place is beautiful. And then all of a sudden, this piano starts playing. And the piano's playing, it's playing Alicia Keys, you know, it's just going wild and playing another hip hop song, and it's just going. And I'm sitting there, I'm going, God damn, I wonder who's playing this music. I kid you not. I get up and I look over the railing, and I look to where the piano was, and this kid's 9 years old.
Wow.
His baseball hat is turned backwards.
Wow.
And he's just hitting the ivories. And I was like, I jumped back down, and I told my wife and one of my cousins and my daughter, I go, you're not going to believe this. I go, you hear that piano playing? They go, yeah. I go, you got to go look at that. Look at the person playing it. And they did the same thing I did. Their jaws just dropped and hit the floor. And this little kid was just playing. And I was like, man, that's what made me think back to resonate that, because I had made that comment. That cat, that's not him. He must have been reincarnated from somebody back in the days, you know. And that's where it resonated when you said that. So I thought about that. And, you know, a lot of people, like you said, they don't think about you know, for a long time, I always thought, you know, religion is, it's the faith, right? Everybody's got to have faith. And no matter what religion you are, you have to have faith and believe in it. Now, whatever junction it takes you in life, no matter wherever it takes you, and you pass, my thought was, in religion, it'll make you more comfortable when you do go, because you know you're going to go to a better place. And that's the way I've always understood it. Now, I've never been a big in religion. I can honestly say that. I believe in Jesus Christ. I'm a Christian. I could say that. But I've never I've never been heavily into religion. But I always felt the one thing that I did love about religion is that it gave people faith. And if you don't have faith and you're not living on faith, it's a very difficult thing to do. At least I believe it is. And once you believe into something, I think it makes you a much better person. I think it makes you understand and gives you guidance, and it allows you to turn to either the book, the Bible, or turn to an elder and get good information to put you at peace of mind.
You know, my yogi master said that, you know, in regards to them being advanced spiritually, he had an opportunity to project from his body and actually visit a giant spacecraft that was in orbit of Earth at that time. He referred to that giant spacecraft as satellite number 3, which comes into orbit periodically around this planet. And he said that he saw these extraterrestrials. They weren't like little green men. He said they were like 7 feet tall, humanoid with long flowing hair, and the women were very beautiful. But what he said was that they had these advanced radionic computer systems on their spacecraft. And later he was told that these advanced computer systems have a complete record of every single live stream, every man, woman, child, rock, animal on this planet. So we're actually online with them. And now, if you think about basic terrestrial technology today, with a global positioning satellite, a GPS, we can pinpoint anybody on the planet that has a cell phone. Now,
Right.
that's just basic terrestrial technology. Now, if you advance that a million years, uh, you know, these beings have a complete. They can tune into the vibrational sequence of every living live stream on this planet. Now, what does that mean to your listeners when I say something like that? It means that we can, the speed of thought through the physical body is being measured at like 600 miles an hour, but the speed of thought through free space has been measured to be like 4 million times the speed of light. We can actually contact these beings telepathically. We may not get a message or get a sighting from them, but because we're online with them, every live stream on this planet, we can mentally ask for this energy, and they will beam this energy, this pranic spiritual energy, down to us, and we can send it out. So that's one of the main reasons that they are orbiting and watching us at this time, is based on their technology that they can send energy to us. And so this spiritual renaissance, they're helping to bring this change on this planet by sending this energy. I mean, they say that truth is greater than fiction. This is science that's so advanced that we can't comprehend. They said to my yogi master that their technology is so advanced that it defies even the imagination of the greatest scientist on this planet. That's how advanced they are. So to me, as an ex technical man, this just totally blows my mind. And also it gives hope that we don't have to look up at the generals or the politicians or the liars. We can look up to these great beings who only have one thing in mind, that's to help us rise up as a race and become the gods that we used to be. We're not supposed to be in this misery. Dr. King said there's only one reason why we're supposed to be on this planet, and that's to raise our consciousness and be happy, joyous, and free. We didn't come here to suffer. We created this crap.
Yeah. Well, we need his help. We need all their help right now. We need to have some help with Putin. We need some help with our president. We need help with a lot of people out there. I'll tell you, man, because it's a mess right now. And the media has a tendency to blow these things out of proportion.
Well, I think one of the great masters said that the greatest sin on this planet is ignorance. People do things
Right.
out of because they're ignorant, and they don't understand the consequences. So that's why I'm on shows like yours, to let people know that all this murder and mayhem, most people don't even realize why they're doing that, and why they're acting that way. But again, it comes back to the divine law that what you project out. If you hate somebody, like say if you hate a particular race or a particular religion, guess what? Whether you like it or not, you may come back as that particular race or in that particular religion,
Right.
just to teach you that you
Yeah.
don't do that. And
Right.
that's where the reincarnation and the law of karma needs to be taught to the masses.
Yeah. I go ahead.
I mean, it just makes logical sense.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. Logically, it just makes logical sense. Won't you
Yeah.
agree?
It does.
I
It
agree.
does. It's just.
I mean,
the
you
other
guys
day-
are technical. You guys are technical guys. You guys are technical guys, and from a technical side, my left brain feels the logical, and then my right brain, which is creative, can understand the aspects of higher beings, higher spirituality.
Yeah.
So it's a balance of the two. And so the reason I'm throwing this out, because it all makes sense. There's nothing unscientific about it. It's all very scientific. Spirituality is just as a big a science as any other, as any other science. It follows certain laws, and so if you send out good thoughts, you get good thoughts back. If you send out crap, you get crap back. It's that
Yeah.
simple.
Have you personally experienced what's the correct? There's got to be a correct terminology of it. But have you experienced extraterrestrial experience at all in your life?
I did. I've had a few of them. One of the most outstanding ones I ever had was when at the age of 18, when I was living in London. and I had no interest in UFOs or extraterrestrial life. I was following my yogi master at the time, but I had this strong feeling that I needed to be somewhere at a certain time, and I couldn't quite pick it up psychically what I needed to do. But I was getting these thought impulses that I needed to go somewhere, and here I am, 18-year-old kid, getting these thought impulses. So after 3 days, I couldn't ignore it. I was getting these strong feelings. I need to go somewhere, and so I opened up a map of England and I traced it with my hand, and my finger pointed to a place near Stonehenge, a town called Salisbury. And I knew I had to be there at midnight that Friday. Don't ask me why. I just had picked up these telepathic thoughts that I had to be there. So that Friday, it was about 60, 70 miles outside of London. I took the Greyhound or the coach to Salisbury, and when I got there around 10:30, and I started walking these country lanes in the dark till it was midnight, and I hopped over this fence near this lake, and I looked up, and I saw this white disc-shaped object moving slowly from the west to the east at midnight, and I knew I was in the right place. And I stood my ground, and at 1:30 in the morning, another white disc-shaped object moved from the south to the north. And to me, it signified, I don't know why, but at that time, it signified the sign of the cross.
Mm.
And the sign,
Wow.
the cross is a very ancient symbol. It was used long before Christianity. It was used in Egyptian times and before then with a more advanced civilization. But the sign of the cross is not depicted like in the Christian religion as a sign of death. It's a sign of resurrection of the soul, of the spirit, onto a higher dimension, onto ascension. And then at 3 o'clock a.m. exactly, this larger spacecraft came over the skies, and it stopped and hovered over me. And this white, I could see this white fire coming from the hull of this spacecraft. And as it did, here's this 18-year-old kid out in the wilderness at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I could feel this tremendous energy, this spiritual energy flowing into me. How long it lasted, I don't know. But the realization I got at the time was who was sending me, it was kind of like an initiation or a kind of like a spiritual baptism. I felt that the beings who were sending this were very spiritual and advanced scientific beings that had been watching us and care about us. Now I got to tell you, gentlemen, I never I never relayed this experience to anybody. I kind of kept it to myself. It was very personal. Plus, if I did relay it, people thought I was would have thought I was a quack anyway in those days. But now I put it in my book to let people know that these beings are real. They're not existing in some fairyland. They're actually physical, real beings. They live and operate on dimensions that are higher than us, on dimensions that we can't actually see. Dr. King said, like he was laughed at in the 60s when he said that he projected to Mars and Venus and met these advanced civilizations, and they laughed at him. And he said that you can go to Mars on a spacecraft and live on Mars on the physical realm for 200 years. You won't even be aware of higher beings because they live on higher dimensions. I mean, the Buddhists and Hindus talk about different levels of existence. Dr. King said there's 6 levels above us and 4 levels below us. When we die, we go to those levels. And it's the same with other planets. So people are actually now realizing that these advanced civilizations don't live on the physical plane like we do. That's why sometimes you see a UFO just suddenly appear and then disappear. So they can move between the dimensions, and so they live on these higher dimensions. And then one day, when we advance enough, we'll be able to project to these higher dimensions. And so again, what I'm saying is that we are being we are being observed, and we are being cared for. But these people love us more than we love each other, and that's the message of hope that I want to throw out. It's a little long-winded, but I'm very passionate about it.
Yeah.
It sounds like you are. You're very passionate in what you believe, and I'm not going to take that away from you. I actually honor that. You guys at home, take a look at Wajid's website. We're going to drop it in the website in the description here. Brown, any last thoughts?
No, I a great show, man. I love this. Is the kind of stuff that I really love to bring out and bring it to the forefront. Good vibe, good information. I'm a karma guy. I believe in a lot of this stuff, and I'll tell you what, I'm excited. I'm gonna go to the mirror. I'm gonna go look in that mirror. I'm gonna put my hands up, man, like what Jid said, and try to feel that energy, man. I'll try anything. If I like it, I'll do it twice. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, once again, thank you for your time.
Hey, maybe. I was thinking maybe in our next lives we could all have some hair on our heads. You know what I'm saying?
I might have an afro.
That would be nice. That would be nice.